Welcome to Watercolor Lessons with Kathy. I'm Kathy Nichols, and I'm a lifelong artist, painter, and teacher. I help students of all ages tap into their creativity with watercolor. Watercolor is a great way to express yourself, and it's easy to get started and fun to do. I hope you join me to learn how to paint with watercolor. I can't wait to see your paintings. To send me photos of your creations, email them to the address in the description. Welcome to the next lesson in our Eagle series. One of our most popular videos was a bald eagle lesson. Today, we'll paint a soaring eagle. With their distinctive colors and large wingspans, they are quite a sight to see. We'll use 3 brushes, 7 paints, and 7 techniques. To better enjoy the lesson, you may wish to use the same paints and materials as I do. Watch my video, Best Materials for Beginning Watercolor Artists, to see where to get them. The link to the video is in the description and in the corner. Be sure to check below for more useful information and links. Let's get started and paint some watercolor. Let's start to paint. First, take your spray bottle, spray your pans, and put some water on your palette. You might need it. Now in this lesson, we will be using a template. So here I have my template. Place it on your paper. And you can look in the description to learn more how. So have your template and lay it down on the painting, on the paper. Pick up your liner brush and we will be outlining the template. Use ochre. We want the color of the outline to be light. And load your brush as needed. Okay, so there I have the outline of the bird. Now I'm starting to fade the outline of the bird. Now, this bird, the head is mostly white, and we're going to utilize the paper for the white and not use white paint. So I'm just fading the line on the template here. Now, in my template, there's a fish, and you can see the tail of the fish here. So I'm going to take some of my ochre and sketch in the fish. Now, the bird's talons are right on the fish, and there's 3 of them, and they're about right here. I'm going to kind of make a indentation where that's going to be and form the shape of the fish. Because this bird is hungry and wants a fish to eat. And then make 3 of the talons grabbing the fish. Like so. Okay. Now I've kind of roughed out what I want to do and where we want to paint. Let's start with the wings here on the end. Still sticking with your liner brush, load with burnt umber. And there's a couple of the wings spread out, and then a little below they start to not be so spread out, more together. Now the bird has white on the head, and it comes down to the neck. And the neck is starting about right here, so I'm going to leave that white. And then kind of develop a little scraggly, not like a straight line, but kind of a zigzag form where the white of the neck is. And then start putting that color where the body is. Okay, let's start on the other side of the wingspan there of the bird. Again, load your liner brush with burnt umber. Again, some spread out defined feathers on the tips, and then they kind of clump together towards the center, towards the body of the bird. Missed a spot here, so go ahead and, if you also did, fill that in. Now the tail of the bird is white, and there might be some shadows. So load your brush with burnt umber, and you want to make this very light, and leave some white spots, like maybe it's showing the vein of the feather, which is darker. Okay, I'm going to stop and give it a good dry before I go on to the next layer of paint. Okay, with your liner brush, make sure that it's clean, and we will be working on the beak and the talons on this bird. So load your liner brush with cadmium yellow. And the talons on the feet are yellow. So I'm adding that. And then the beak is yellow. And then the eye in the bird is kind of a greenish yellow. So I add the eye with the yellow. And then we'll add some sap green, just a touch. And it will blend. Now it's still wet, so it should kind of blend together to make it more of a light green. If it's too dark, then you can lift some of the paint out. Okay, now let's go back and work on the fish. Now the fish, you want to use some burnt umber, still with your liner brush, and mix some intense blue. And this has a little green tinge to it, and almost a silver. Okay, I'm going to let that area dry because I don't want the colors to run. And then come back and put more detail into it. So let's go back on the feathers here in the body and the wing. And let's switch to our round with pointed tip brush. Load your brush with burnt umber. And add some ochre. Let's start on the body. So we're adding more darker feathers on the body. Well, on the wings there. Let's go on the other side. Okay, let's stop for a minute, give it another good dry. Pick up your liner brush. Now, let's mix some of the burnt umber here on our palette and add some intense blue, just a tad to make it a little darker, and add the spot where the eye is, like so. Then clean your brush and take some of the burnt umber And there's a little shadow around the eye. So we're going to create that like that. Like that. Okay. And then the beak is brighter. So take, in more of a orange color, take cadmium yellow. With a touch of cadmium red. And that will get that brighter orange. It's a little too orange. Mix it in a little bit. Like so. Okay. And then on the talons, they have extended part that is black. So you want to take your mixture of burnt umber and intense blue and just make on each one a little extension like so. Okay. Now let's switch brush and use your round with pointed tip and mix burnt umber, some ochre, and some intense blue. You can test the color on there. Now that seems a little green to me, so I think I need to use my other blue, ultramarine blue. And let's try that and see what that does. Mix a little spot here with the burnt umber. It's a little bit more of a darker black, so I'm going to switch to that to darken the wings. Need a little more umber on that. You know, and sometimes I will mix my paint in my palette or do it on the painting. You know, the fun of watercolor is to kind of switch it up and try different things to see what works for you. And when I paint with other people, I always learn something, and we learn something from each other, and that's the beauty of it. Mix a little more color here. Okay, I think I need to give it a good dry. And then I still want to make it darker, but to do that, I really need to dry it, or else your colors will just get muddier. Okay, so when I look at this painting, I want to make this darker here. So pick up your round with pointed tip brush, load with burnt umber, and a touch of the ultramarine blue. Okay, time for another dry. Now I'm adding another layer that will darken the color. Now I see on this wing I need to carry that darkness further out on the wing. So there's still some darkness on the tip right along here. So I'm loading my round with pointed tip brush and use a mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt umber. And then it's good to stop every once in a while to look at your painting to think, does it look done? Do I want to do more? And I need to see a little bit more on this wing. Now, I could stop at this point, or I could do something with the background. And that's really a personal preference, whether you like the white background, or you can do a sky with a few clouds. So I'm going to pause for a moment and then go on. If you choose to do a background, show you how you can use a wash to create a background with a few puffy clouds. But it's always good to, before you start to that process, give your painting a good dry before going on. Okay, now to create a background, we will want to start with your mop brush. And if you need to clean a space in your palette, which I do, because I have browns right here and I want just the blue. Wet your brush. And we'll be using the intense blue for the sky. Now there's a couple ways you could go about this, and you want to be careful not to get too close to the eagle. So I find it helpful in this situation with this watercolor that I'm doing is to start at the top and with your mop. And I'm doing a line here and it's fairly dark. And then you can work on going down and just adding water, and that will lighten it. And then have your towel ready. Now you can intentionally leave some white spaces for the clouds, or you can, like that, even like that, or you can go further down and paint the whole thing. I kind of like the look of that. Now if you want to make it, the edges not so sharp, you can take your paper towel and kind of blot it. Like that, and it's kind of creating a little puffy edge there. I kind of like that. I don't want to make my sky all blue. You can make yours, or you can do the example here. Now the only thing I see is the line here is kind of funky and I want to smooth it out. And to do that, I'm just going to add a little more water. And it's kind of a line. You might not be able to see it so much where you are, but I'm just going to create a little texture like that. And there's one big definite line, and I think I need to use my liner brush to work it out a little more. No, that kind of made it worse. Now, in that case, which, you know, sometimes it does happen, you can just make a little more blue, put a little more blue on it so the line isn't so contrast. Kind of like that, and it won't show up as much. So there we go. One more dry. The final dry. I like my Soaring Eagle. I enjoyed painting with you today, and I hope you enjoyed it too. I'd love to see photos of your creations. You can email them to me at the address in the description. To suggest something you'd like to paint, please let me know in the comments. If you'd like to give watercolor a try, please subscribe to my channel and take a lesson or two. Please join me next time, and we'll paint another eagle. Take care, be safe, and see you soon.